What we're going to do now is solve using synthetic division, and solve, I should say, divide. So we've done long division, and synthetic division is a shortcut to long division. Synthetic division doesn't work on every type of polynomial, so that's why long division is by far the more superior way in order to get correct answers. But for most cases, synthetic division works just as fine. It's just a shortcut. So with each of these examples, what we're doing is we're dividing by a binomial, and how we want to start this off is whatever the binomial would give us a 0, that right there is the number that we're going to solve for. So we know 5 minus 5 is 0, so 5 is the number that we're going to be working with. Then we're going to take each of the coefficients from each of the terms, so 1, -2, -7, and 8. And then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply, we're going to bring down the 1 and multiply the 5 times the 1 is 5, and that gives us 3. 5 times 3 is 15, and that gives us 8. 5 times 8 is 40, and then when we add that, we get 48, and that's our remainder. So when we write our equation, it's always going to be one less degree than what we have here, so that's going to be x squared plus 3x, because the 3 comes from here, plus 8, and then our remainder is 48, so I'm going to put plus 48 over x minus 5, which is what we talked about last time. Now, letter B. Once again, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with setting our binomial equal to 0, and that would give us -1/2. And then we're going to take the coefficients. So we have 4. Notice that there's no cube, so 0, -9, -8, and -2. We bring down the 4. -1/2 times 4 is -2. We add the 2, and that gives us -2. -1/2 times -2 is +1, which gives us -8. Then -1/2 times -8 is a +4, and that gives us a -4 when we add them. -1/2 times -4 is 2. That means there's no remainder. It goes in evenly. Now, one of the problems with synthetic division is it doesn't divide very well with our a value. So yesterday we talked about how many times does 2x go into, does 2x go into 4x to the 4th, and that would be 2x cubed. Notice that this is not a 2, that's a 4. So whenever we have a leading coefficient here, in this case it's 2, we're going to divide all of our terms by 2. And so that's going to give us 2, and then x to the 3rd, kind of what we mentioned earlier. And then we have -x squared minus 4x minus 2. And that right there is our answer. So looking at letter C, we're going to do the same thing. What we're going to do is we're going to set the binomial equal to 0, and that gives us a -2. And when we look at our coefficients, we have 1, we have 0, we have 2, 10, and -4. We bring down the 1. -2 times 1 is -2. When we add them up, we get -2. -2 times -2 is 4. When we add them up, we get 6. -2 times 6 is -12. That gives us a -2. -2 times -2 is 4. Once again, we get a remainder of 0. So our equation is x cubed, because it's always one less degree, and then minus 2x squared plus 6x, and then minus 2. And that right there is our final answer. Last one. What we're going to do is we're going to set it equal to 0, the binomial, and that gives us 1/3. And so we have 27, -27, we have 9, we have -1. So we bring down the 27. 1/3 of 27 is 9. -27 plus 9 is -18. 1/3 of negative 18 is negative 6. That gives us a 3. 1/3 of 3 gives us 1, and that gives us a 0. Because the leading coefficient for our binomial is 3, remember we're going to divide each of these by 3, and that gives us 9x squared minus 6x plus 1.